Okay, so I ran out of 4-gauge wire, but I happen to have some SO cord number 4-gauge. So I stripped along that and pulled that out. It was kind of a pain in the ass. But I'm going to use this to go from the BMS and the positive disconnect to the inverter. And then I happen to have some of this. This is SO number 8. This is going to go, this is going to be my AC feed, and this was actually meant for AC off of a whip. So it's got my 3 conductors in there, and it's sized accordingly for the inverter. So I got to get that trimmed to length. I got to put some furls on the ends and get that routed. I have to get these cut to length, crimped, and then hit with the, I've been hitting them with the torch and the solder to guarantee they have a good solid connection. So I got to get that done, and then on the back, or not on the back, I got to mount the AC sub panel and do some knockouts, as well as put in these guys for my AC. And then I'm going to use this. I'm going to bolt that to the front and route the cable around into the sub panel through, I think it's this guy. One of them's missing. Yeah, this guy's missing the nut. So I'll run that guy through here, and then I'll run the input feed through here. So I'll get that all set up, and while I'm getting that set up, I'll get all set up and then make another video. Alright, so I crimped it, but now I'm going to solder it. A little warm. Then I'm just going to let that cool and slip up the heat shrink, get it there, then run the cable, cut it to length, and repeat for the other end. So this will go to the disconnect. It's a bigger end. And then bigger end bolt wise. Then the other end is, the other lugs I have will fit. So I'll put this on, run it to length, and then alright, got the heat shrink pulled up. Just there you go. One down, one more to go. Alright, so get ready to solder this next one. And I don't have large solders, since most of my soldering is done on fine pitch electronics. So I have this stuff, which is 0.02 inches. So this way I've been doing to get that is I'll pull off like 10 feet and just keep doubling it over, then twisting it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I do my soldering. So you just let that cool and work on the negative terminal. So the negative terminal, I don't have any more 2-gauge, or I could put 2 of these 4 gauges in there and crimp it. So I'm going to take a 2-gauge. I'm going to have to put a slight slit in it to open it up, so I can fit both of them in, then re-crimp it, and then throw solder on it. Okay, so here's that ring terminal I talked about. It's cut because it's just quite not big enough to let 2 number 4s in there. But these will both, I did a test fit, these will both fit inside there, and then I'll crimp it and solder it. And then that'll go on the BMS, or on the inverter side, and then I'll do individuals on this side, 2 ring terminals by themselves, since there's 2 lugs on the negative pack side of the BMS. It's a bit overkill for what this needs, since this I think does, I'll check the math, I think this is 90 amps. So We'll see. Okay. So, you can see it's crimped, or kind of crimped. Not crimped the best, but because when you start crimping it, it wants to twist it and push things off. So that'll be enough to hold it. It's on there decently snug. And that's just a pair of pliers, not the actual crimp tool that I crank down on it with. So I'm going to heat it up and solder it and go from there. Well, should be good. As long as I don't pull 8,000 watts out of it for too long, which I think 10 seconds is the max the inverter will support. Alright, got the negative ends done. Remember to put heat shrink on. I started to forget that and remembered. So, just gotta solder them. If you're actually doing this, you can see the tinning on here will liquefy. That's how you know it's pretty close. Okay, so what I've decided is this is going to mount sideways like this. The top will be up here. And my two breakers, we're going to take these two spots. Now this is a 240 box that I'm going to use as 120. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jumper with the furl between here and here. And then I think I'm going to take this SO number 8. I'm going to come and connect them here and here and route it down here along and out. And then I'm going to use this guy and this guy. So I'm going to knock this out here. Put this in probably this way so I can get to it. This way the screws might hit the back, so go this way. And then this one will be the current feed. The feed for now for one of the two breakers. One over here. I might stick another one there. So the two independent circuits. But right now, only one is going to be used since let's see, available current at 4,000 watts is 33 amps. So two 15 amp circuits. Who knows, maybe I have to upgrade it to a 20 and a something. I'm not sure what I'm going to run yet. The air conditioner will work on a 15 amp circuit, so gotta knock these out and this out, and then strip some wires and go from there. I was hoping that string in there that I could, like on Ethernet cable, there's a little string. If you pull it, it'll split it. It'll split your casing, so you don't have to fight it. If it was shorter, it'd probably just slip off. But there's 2 feet of cable on here I have to fight. I'm not sure if this twists like that stuff over there twisted, so you can't just push down and cut because you slice across the jacketing and everything. Alright, so I gotta go find my furls. I'm gonna cut the feed. Oh wait, let's check. Yeah, this crimp tool doesn't go big enough to put these on, so I'm just gonna force it with a pair of channel locks. That's the option I have, or go buy a tool. So this will work. It's just not the best solution. I already did this one and this one off camera. My line is here. This is going to be the back feed, or the secondary one, to come over to here because I want both of these at 120. So the furls in there, it's crimped down. These have furls on them. Here and here, ground tied to neutral in the panel. I might have to put a disconnect on this for when I'm plugged into wall power, that I don't have a ground loop, since it's supposed to only be bonded at one. We'll have to check to see if the panel isolates them. That way, just if I need to charge the batteries, I can use the inverter grid tie to charge the batteries, and then solar for the difference, or vice versa. Yeah, I'll have to cut that. I'll cut this guy to there and crimp it. Then pop my breakers in and get ready for the next step of mounting the other part. So I'll set this up. Alright, these are like the auto strippers. This is by Widmuller. I also have a pair of Knipex ones too. Or Knipex, however you say it. I really like them. They are I just like them. Especially when you have to do a lot of wires and you have to be at a certain depth. This makes it really convenient. Voila, so that's done. I also finished off some stuff on camera. So my negative side, didn't have any black, big enough to fit both of these. So orange, and then this will go to the BMS side. So one's slightly longer than the other. I did that on purpose because they're going to be in two different spots, so one has to go over the other. Alright. Alright, so I'm getting ready to put this onto there. So I went ahead and covered all of these ends of tape because this is a life pack. So there's 24 volts with 300 amp hours worth of energy on lithium iron phosphate sitting right here. So I put that over to prevent any sort of shorting across the pack, and then I have a moving blanket down here I'm going to put on top to cover everything, and then mount that here. So I'll get that set up and we'll go from there. Okay, so I got it set up, so I'm just going to mount it now. I took a piece of 2x4, put it there in this 1x2. That's going to act as my kind of level, as well as hold it up so I can make sure I get it up at the height that I want. And I already tested it. Did some test fitting prior to turning on. So it should mount right about there. Pretty sure that's where I want it. I took the inverter off the back. It won't go through. Oh, it might. Yeah. these 3/4 inch self tappers. This board's 3/4, but these have standoffs in the back. So here, actually, let me do something real quick. Since these don't have a lot of bite to them, based on the depth, I'm gonna put or 8 of them total. That way it shouldn't go off and they're not poking through, but it's just one of those I want to make sure it doesn't fall. Eventually I'm gonna build a shelf that covers this to protect this. I just haven't got there yet. What I shall do is I'm going to make more board like this and basically come onto these ends, build a shelf. I have more of this white stuff I got to rip down and notch for here. And a 1x2 I'll probably bond to the other piece to act as a height, and then that should keep it above here so nothing can fall on it, and then you have to lift it off and slide it. I'll come up with like a cleat or a tab or something to prevent it so it doesn't walk off. So now that I have that, this is a positive, this disconnects off, and then I'll have to get the negative under here, which when I go grab that. And then the only thing left I'll have to do is mount the AC for this side for now. Or maybe I mount 2 of them up there and they're just on 2 separate circuits. But I think, we'll see, I can always come back and do that. And I still have to do all the balance leads. And then I need to make a custom communication cable to go from the RJ45 here to the RJ45 over there. They're not 1-to-1, but I have all the crimp tools and stuff, so that's easy to make. I just gotta do it. We'll get the stuff and then we'll cut it. So what's cool about these, you have your depth setting that I can set the depth. So I like these. I have Knipex and this Weidmuller. Yeah, just set it. And then you put the end on and then stick it in and crimp it. Power feed's done to the box, and then I think for this guy, I want to block right here because there's air. That's an air inlet here, here, and here. That'll vent out. But I think if I do a self-tapping right here, it's probably enough. I can always put a second one. Just make sure I can. Yeah, I can always put a second one here, and then just if I need to route the cable this way or down and tuck it under. Let's see, there's no knockout holes in these, so I'm just gonna self-tapper right here because that'll get yay much of a bite. I think I'm about to Unless there's supposed to be a way you mount these. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I have never mounted this to board, one of these to boards. I know a self-tapper will go through that. Another reason I need to get a shelf over this is how fast I took something conductive and set it right there on top of the battery, but that's why it's covered. If the shelf was here, then it'd be different. I'm gonna go find a spade to put that on so it slots in versus the furls, because it'll just be better.